New York Knicks. I'm back in the New York groove. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks is taking no shorts, just like winter. New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is
K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Go New York, go New York, go!
Everybody, it is episode 642 of the New York Knicks podcast. I am Jay. How you doing, Mark?
I am doing good. I am doing great. I am doing, well, doing great might be overstating it, but I'm doing okay.
You're overselling it a little bit, yeah.
Overselling it a bit, but two Knicks stats for you. One, when the Knicks lead by 15 or more points the game, do you know what the Knicks record is?
18
At any point in the game, they have a 15-point lead. What is the Knicks record?
18-2.
30-0.
The fact that they've been up 15 or more 30 times already that's like every other game almost. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's a lot of that's like 70% of all their wins. They've been up by 15, and the fact that they just don't blow anything. Like we're up by 15, we end up winning the game. Like, I mean, scores shift so much in the NBA with the 3-point shot.
Yeah. And
they hold on to it. That's pretty darn good.
Remember a couple years ago, like we never felt like a lead was safe. The Knicks could be up.
I still don't feel. I mean, do you feel like the lead's safe at all? Like at any point, when the Knicks are up 30, I feel lead safe. Anytime before that, I don't feel safe.
I feel much better this season because the defense is so good. It's a lot harder to come back against the Knicks.
Yeah, I mean, but you still have to but then the Knicks will have those stretches where they're up by a lot, but then they don't score for 7 minutes, and you're like, can someone just get a goddamn basket?
Well, I mean, there's been 4 or 5 games I can remember where they went 5, 6, 7 minutes without a field goal, but they still held on to the lead because their defense kind of carried them. But you're still you can't go a half a quarter without scoring a basket. You got to figure that out. I mean, I understand.
Yeah, you got to figure that out.
I understand half their roster's been injured. I mean, how many games have the Knicks had a full roster? 0?
Oh, well, I think early in the season they did. Because before Mitch went down, the roster was pretty they hadn't had any injuries prior to that.
Right. That 15 games maybe.
Yeah.
Great.
What's the Knicks record when they're up at the end of the first quarter?
It's 26-8.
28-5.
Okay.
Best record in the NBA when leading after the first quarter.
That's good.
So the keys to victory going forward and in the playoffs is to be up by over 15 points and win the first quarter, and you're basically guaranteed the Knicks will win the title.
All right.
That's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so anyway, show's over. We gave the keys to the Knicks are going to win the title. Anything else happen this week, Jay?
Nope, that's it. Nothing.
That's it. The Knicks had not the easiest schedule. They had a West Coast trip. Played a bunch of games. They played Philly. Well, that wasn't part of the West Coast trip. But they played that was last year. But they played Sacramento. They played Golden State. They got Denver coming up. But how are they looking this West Coast trip so far? They played the Trailblazers. That was the other one.
Yeah. So I mean, they won every game.
That's pretty good.
OG came back. The Knicks looked invincible again, and now OG's out again. So
yes, apparently, when your player just back from injury screams in pain while grabbing his elbow, it's not normal course of business.
Yeah, maybe don't put him back in after that.
So are we? So the Knicks had a wonderful, huge victory after that against Golden State, but OG. Seems like we kind of need him to win in the playoffs. By the way, Deuce McBride did a pretty solid OG impersonation against Golden State.
Deuce was awesome. Even Steph gave props to Deuce.
Yeah, no, he's Deuce is on the loose. But how you feeling about OG? What's going to happen, Jay?
Oh my God. I am very nervous now. We're 75% of the way through the season. We have no idea if OG or Randall are going to be healthy.
Mitch participated in a full practice.
He did, so that is good.
He should be back pretty darn soon. He helps our world-class defense, helps the rebounding.
Also helps
like
rest iHeart a little bit so he can go easy on that Achilles. So that's good.
At full strength, Precious and Mitch bring a ton at the center position. As much as good as Precious has been, like Mitch is better. Having the two of them like really, really helps for the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. Still need OG and Randall at some point. If we can have them 7 to 10 games at the end of the season to get back in game shape, I think they'll be okay. It's just I'm looking at them like, well, that's coming up kind of soon now.
Not to promote another podcast, but there's a big Randall update coming tomorrow.
Okay. I mean,
he is on Jalen Brunson's podcast. I imagine at some point during the interview and the conversation, he'll mention when he's coming back. So I'm excited to hear the podcast. I think I haven't heard. There's no updates anywhere else. So maybe on the podcast he'll talk about his injury.
I mean, that's if he knows. It's really up to the training staff and the team. Like, I'm sure he'd be out there right now if he was allowed to.
I don't think you think that. I mean, I'm sure also he's not like feeling 100% if they're not like it's a combination. I mean, they're also kind of building off of what he's saying. And
Randall's played sub 100% plenty of times. Like, that guy just goes out. He's not Ben Simmons where he's like, I got a splinter. I'm not playing today.
Ben Simmons, by the way, is out for the season with a splinter.
I mean, he's. I'd be surprised if he didn't retire in the next year or two.
I don't think he's going to retire because I think he can play 8 to 10 games a year in Europe or Australia. So I think that's where he's headed.
Or in the NBA and just get $40 million a year.
I mean, all he has to do is show up to one game and he gets the $40 million, right?
Yeah.
All he has to do is not retire and he gets like another 40.
I know. And he's got at least 2 years left, right?
It's amazing. He refused to play for Philly and another team said, "Hey, that's not like the kind of guy we want. Let's trade for him."
I can't believe that didn't work out.
I mean, I guess he's not refusing to play anymore. He just can't. So on Randall, I don't think it's a matter. Like, I think it's. I know you're saying he plays through pain and so forth. I imagine this is different. I imagine he's feeling some effects of it, and the doctors are like, "If you're feeling this, we can't have you back out there yet, like, because you're going to re-injure this." Because he's also supposed to be like it sounds like surgery might be inevitable. It's just a matter of how long he can play through pain.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know enough about this, but
I mean, not good.
I'm going to tune into the podcast. In theory, the podcast they should the entire interview goes by and they don't even mention the fact that he's not playing.
I wouldn't put it past them to do that.
At no point does Josh Hart be like, "Hey, by the way, are you going to play in the NBA again this year?"
I'm getting a little tired.
They just shoot the shit about the good old days. You're like, can we have an update? Can we have an update? Where's the goddamn update?
I would be surprised if we got anything substantive out of that podcast.
You don't think so?
No. I think you'll get as much information out of that podcast as you do out of this podcast.
Well, in fairness, the players we talk about are on that podcast. And they seem pretty loosey-goosey with talking about stuff.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't think so. I wouldn't get my hopes up for a Randall update on there.
I think there's going to be some level of an update on how he's doing. There were random things. They called out Obi Toppin for being a card cheat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was an early episode where they mentioned that they're like the only person that cheats at cards was Obi. I was like, maybe it was good they got rid of him.
That's funny.
Yeah. So hopefully OG's. They just rest him. Like, it also looked, the first game he was back, he was just back. I feel like maybe you don't need many games with him before the playoffs as long as he could be healthy in the playoffs.
I know. It's just, I don't know. It seemed like he took time off and he looked okay. And then
he looked great when he came back. Except for the Sacramento game where he looked like his elbow was already, it's like he was definitely injured in that game.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he went 1 for 8 and yelped in pain. So it's like, I don't know.
Yeah. But on brighter news, the Knicks are winning games still.
Yeah.
They won a game against Golden State that I just didn't think they had a shot at winning. Turns out Josh Hart will not sit the rest of the season.
So yeah, they're holding on to that 4th seed, which is good.
They got Denver coming up tomorrow night, the last game of a road trip in Mile High. I think the Knicks should sit everyone and just call it. I know teams will never do this, but everyone's hurting. Give Jacob Toppin 48 minutes. Give Charlie Brown 48 minutes. No reason to play Josh Hart 48 minutes, Deuce 40. I don't know. You guys aren't going to win this game.
The thing is, Cleveland's banged up. Donovan Mitchell's injured again.
Yeah.
The Knicks are not that far behind the 2 and 3 seeds.
They're not that far behind the 7th seed either, or up on the 7th seed either. That is a concern. I get that.
It is. I mean, ideally, you'd rather be in the 2 or 3 spot than the 4. So I get going all out still.
I don't know. Everyone's injured. They have some winnable games coming up. The schedule gets a fair amount easier after Denver. After Denver, you got Brooklyn, Detroit, Toronto, San Antonio. I mean, they got OKC, which is tough, but those 4 in a row are very winnable 4 in a row games.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you go hey, how about we go 4-1 and throw the Denver game?
No way Tibbs does that.
No way Tibbs does that. But it really is you could run those 4 games. The Knicks should run those 4 games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Although I don't know, the Knicks beat Denver so bad last time. Maybe they're just a good matchup against them.
Sure, they're a good matchup against the best team in the NBA. Sure, yeah, I'm sure that's repeatable, especially with everyone injured. That makes total sense.
You can match up well against really good teams. It's just a matchup issue.
Yeah, sure.
Shimmy says,
yeah,
Mitch,
Denver's oh my god, the Knicks matchup. The Knicks with no players match up really well against us.
Shimmy said Mitch might be back soon. Yes,
Mitch is gonna be back soon.
At least there's some reinforcements coming in.
Some reinforcements coming in that will be huge. But I think the Denver game is a really tough one. Hey, is Josh Hart going to cover Wemby?
I don't know. Is
He's
it
playing
matter?
San Antonio soon. Who's covering Wemby?
Who cares? They don't have anybody else.
I know, but I just it's going to be hilarious when Josh Hart is covering Wemby. He's Wemby's it's it's going to look like he's covering he's a kid covering his dad.
Yeah, I mean, it's not if you don't let him get position, it's not like Wemby's going to play bully ball.
He's not going to play bully ball. Obviously, he looks like he'll be a phenomenal player.
Of course,
but
yeah. I mean, he's gonna get open looks at 3, but he's not gonna he's not gonna be able to back down Josh Hart right now.
I mean, I guess Precious will help also, and if you have Mitch back, that'll make a big difference. But I was just picturing him it's gonna be hey, Josh Hart, you and Deuce, you guys cover Wemby. So what do you think? We got a question about this, so I figured I'd bring this up.
Okay.
Let's go through all our questions.
Mm-hmm.
So Brady writes, how do you feel about Josh's minutes?
I mean, they are too high. It's tough because Burks and Boggs have not been playing well.
They've been pretty bad.
I was being nice.
They had a moment in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, they looked terrible. They looked absolutely terrible. So I get Tibbs not trusting them yet. On the other hand, can we even afford another injury? Maybe play them. If they play bad, you lose, but you gotta have them get in rhythm. You can't just burn out these guys. I don't know.
I mean, play Bogdanovich and Burks 48 minutes against Golden State. Give them a full burn in that game. Let's Shake Milton play. What the hell has he been doing here?
Brady says, how do we feel about Orlando being so close to us? Not great.
Nervous.
Yeah, a little nervous about that. I'm surprised they're this good.
They've got a decent team. The Wagner guys are pretty darn good. Paulo, he's pretty darn Orlando has a very good young team. They got a deep team also. Cole Anthony.
So
I would be worried about them. I'd be worried about them in the playoffs, but I'd be worried about them like winning games and like fighting us for the fourth, at least the fourth seed.
Yeah. I think it's just so used to them having a bunch of guys with potential and just having it not work out. It's weird seeing it actually work out now.
I think they figured something out.
There's been so many years where you're like, they have all these players. How are they so bad?
Like they kept drafting like 7-foot guys who just couldn't stay on the floor or couldn't play basketball.
Or even like, I don't know, they had Eric Gordon and he like, not Eric Gordon, the guy in Denver.
Oh, he was. They weren't going anywhere. That's the problem. That's why they traded him.
But he didn't even do that much there. Like he
put up decent stats there.
Okay, but like he was always that like he's a year away from breaking out for like 5 straight years. Well, I mean, I guess playing with Jokic is everyone's gonna look better.
He's a good defender, good scorer. He was like a solid like, hey, this guy could be your third best player. Your team would be really good, and Denver's really good.
I mean, Jokic also made Bones Highland look really good.
Yeah, Bones Highland's terrible. To finish Brady's question, he also wrote, is Deuce the future?
The future backup point guard? Yes.
Deuce is looking better and better. Tibbs in the post game of Golden State said that we track the guys' shots. We track their stats during practice also, which I had not realized. And we were looking at it and like we were like, this is going to translate into games. He is playing so well in practice. It's just a matter of time. He's been awesome.
Yeah.
The dude's making threes. I think he leads the Knicks in 3-point shooting percentage right now.
Yeah, it's at the point where there's not this like dramatic drop off when they're definitely worse without Brunson, but it's not like, oh my God, we're gonna give up like 20 points now. Like Deuce is he's good enough now where he's a solid backup player.
Well, he doesn't seem like point guard, like run the offense still.
Right.
I don't feel like he's that, but he really is like, he's a great defender. He could score. It's almost like he's more of a 2 guard, if anything, but with some point guard duties. But it's also balanced out by the fact that Josh Hart passes the ball. DiVincenzo passes the ball. There's a lot of guys on the team that are really good at like distributing.
Yeah.
That you don't necessarily need Deuce to run the point guard, or you can be more of a hybrid and be fine because Josh Hart's going to pass the ball anyway.
Yeah. His development has been very, very good. He developed under Tibbs.
Which is crazy because his coach doesn't develop anyone.
I know. He doesn't play the young guys either, so I don't know how he's getting any minutes. But
yeah, this is insane. Like he doesn't play the young guy. By the way, there are no young guys, but he doesn't play the young guys. Doesn't develop players. I mean, Deuce is defying all logic. It's like he's like he must have a secret coach on the Knicks that is doing all this.
Yeah. So yeah, he's been really good, and his contract is like ridiculously low.
So here's a question for you.
Yeah.
I think Deuce's contract is paying him like $3 million a year or something. Like something.
It was.
I mean, in our terms, we would be like dancing naked in the street with that contract. But in the NBA terms, it's almost like poverty in the NBA. Like he's just getting like a shit deal based on his production.
Yeah, it was 3 years, 13.
Yeah, something like that. And he'll get, I guess, a bigger contract. Not like a huge deal, but he can get, like, if he went to the offseason right now, he'd probably get like 7 or 8 million a year.
Yeah.
Which is totally, like, it's a huge jump. Is it almost unfair, the contract the Knicks tricked him into, to the point where, like, should the Knicks offer to renegotiate the contract if he keeps playing like this?
I have never seen that happen before. I think maybe his next contract might be a little padded to like make up for it. Like if he's worth 7, maybe he gets 8 or 9 just as like a, thank you for playing for almost nothing for 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know if you can like, if you have the space in the salary cap to like give people like, I guess maybe you have a little space, you can do a thank you.
Right. But yeah, the Knicks cap situation is going to get pretty complicated pretty soon.
Real soon.
Yeah.
Brunson is a free agent or has the ability to opt out. I think the last year of his contract is a player option, which will not be. There's no chance in hell he's taking his 4th-year player option. So he has next year. After that, the Knicks might have to give him a max contract.
Right.
a deserved max contract. Um, Randall's contract's not going to be in. Well, I guess we'll see how he comes back from injury, but he might get a big deal. And this offseason, how much you paying? How much are you paying OG
And iHeart.
and iHeart?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to have to show that they're on the cusp of a championship for the Knicks to go in and pay this repeater tax, which is going to be brutal if they want to keep all these guys. I think they'll do it if they look like they're close. But I would hate to have this team not be healthy and then not sign everybody for the stupid cap reasons.
I mean, you kind of have like OG really raised the ceiling of this team. If he's injured the rest of the season and says, "Hey guys, I want somewhere between 35 and 40 million a year," and you know if he goes to like you don't know if he'll be healthy, but if he's healthy, like, do you give him the money? He's not going to take much more of a discount than that.
I know.
35 maybe is the best you're doing.
I mean, he said he would take a discount. The Knicks
35 is the discount.
The Knicks must know what they can offer him, like before they even made the trade. Like, I'm sure they figured all that out. I mean, I'd feel a lot more comfortable with 30. I'll tell you that much.
I mean, does it make that much of a difference at that point? Like, even if it's 30, the question really is like, if he's playing for us, great. If he's not playing, there's an issue.
Yeah, I mean, it's an all or nothing. Like, he's so
like,
important.
If he's 30,
to the
it's still a nightmare if he's not playing. It's totally, and it's fine. 30, the 40's fine if he's playing. If he's on the floor, like, great.
Yeah, it's just with these new cap rules, like if you have a guy making 40 that's not playing, it's
brutal.
It's really, really bad. Of course, the Knicks would get all these players as soon as the cap rules change.
Yeah, like as soon as like Golden State for years is like, we're paying $800 million for our team, but like it's fine. The rules allow it. Now the Knicks are like, we want to go. There's a limit on how much you can spend, even though you guys have the money.
Yeah,
but I think you have to, as long as you don't think the injury to OG is like career ending, I think you have to pay the man, whether it's 30. I think quibbling over whether it be 30 or 35 is ridiculous. Pay him 35.
I'm just saying
40.
You have to pay iHeart, you have to pay OG, and then like a year later you got to pay Brunson and Randall. This could get ugly really quick.
Yeah, I mean, you have to kind of at some point you have to go all in on a roster.
That $5 million might be the difference of we're so far over the tax, we now have to trade Mitch because we can't afford this whole team. Like, salary dump somebody. So
I don't know.
That's my concern.
Yeah, maybe if you have to, like, you have to. I mean, that would be terrible to be in this position where you have to choose between Mitch and iHeart. But Mitch, iHeart generally has stayed healthier than Mitch, but I don't know.
I just want to see one playoff run with this squad, with everybody healthy, just to see, because I really feel like this team has something, and I don't want this to be a what if season, and I feel like we're getting close to that.
I think if you add, like, in the offseason, just draft 2 rookies, and just bring this roster back as is, minus Burks, and find some way to move Bogdanovich for something at least slightly helpful on the court. The team could be really, really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we're a legit contender. This is an awesome squad when healthy.
Yeah.
And the benefits of the injuries, if there can be benefits of the injuries, you figured out, I'd also like to resign Precious, but you figured out Precious is actually a very useful player. You figured out that Deuce McBride is mildly awesome at times. You figured out Josh Hart can have a much more expanded role. You figured out Dante can have a much more expanded role. You really have fleshed out that these guys, there's so much to this roster. There's so much depth. There's so much, I don't know if so much depth. Like, when healthy, our team is.
They're legit too deep in every position. It's 48 minutes of hell for other teams because it's not that big of a drop off when you swap guys out now. So,
to continue Brady's question, it was a longer question. A theory I have come up with that may do good. Do you think Josh is playing a lot so Randall can be rested for the playoffs? In other words, Josh works now, so Randall 100% for the playoffs.
No, I think Randall's more injured than they thought originally. And this is Hart's just playing a lot because Boggs has been pretty garbage.
I mean, I think Hart and Deuce, and not that Brunson's not or anyone else is not, and Brunson's played 48 before also, but like I think to a certain point, Tibbs feels like Hart and Deuce are in amazing shape, and like they're not tired enough that like you need to take them off the floor. They're also in the NBA games. It's not like it's 48 straight minutes. There's lots of TP timeouts. There are other things. Josh Hart, like Tibbs might be like, Josh, how you doing? He's like, I'm fine. Leave me in. Or I'm fine. I'm okay. Like you don't need to. I'll let you know if I'm tired.
Also, this used to be normal.
48 minutes is not normal.
No,
what was
but
48
he's not playing 48 though. I mean, like
He did the other night.
yeah, but in general, he's playing like 38, 39, which
Which used to be normal. Yeah.
used to be like a normal game.
I mean, if you could get anything from Burks and Bogdanovich, the guys who would play last. They really have given so little since they've been here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think this is so much a like Tibbs is only going to play 6 guys. I think it's just that the other guys have been playing bad. When this team is healthy, which we haven't seen a lot lately, he has a normal rotation. He has a 9-man rotation. Nobody's playing over 35 minutes a game. It's a completely normal rotation. And,
I mean, we can't really handle any more injuries, but
we also are in a very tight race, and if they're going to play bad, you got to go with the guys who are playing good, or all of a sudden you're in the play-in tournament.
I mean, maybe they're just like, hey, Randall, like, hey, we want you back ASAP, but like we feel like we don't know how fast like you're going to be injured again. We're going to bring you back. Just take more time. Wait till April. We'll have you back in April, and you'll play 5 games, then go to the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, the Knicks are only 3.5 games out of the play-in tournament. It's tight.
It is really tight. You'd feel like, and we want Randall back. You'd feel better if OG was back. I don't know how long OG's going to be out now, but like you got to assume he's gone at least a week or 2.
Yeah,
there's not much time left.
I know that's what I'm saying. I'm getting a little worried.
And even that easier schedule coming up, like it's not that easy if no one's healthy. Like I like what Deuce did against Golden State. Or is he going to keep doing that? He's going to be consistent. I just don't expect him to be consistent because he's a young player. Just like his role has changed dramatically since early in the season. Like it's a lot to expect him to be consistent from night to night.
Yeah.
What did you think though of the fact that Precious went to the bench and Deuce like they went with a 3-guard lineup against Golden State?
I mean, Golden State is a pretty small team, so I think that works for them. I think you're not going to get away with that every game, but situationally, I thought that was a good idea.
I mean, Josh Hart in many ways is a guard also, so it really was a 4-guard lineup.
Yeah. By the way, I said I would really like to see this team play 10 games healthy. That gives them a 4-game buffer to get everybody back healthy.
Sweet. Evan writes on Instagram, does anyone else become ill when they think about the fact that we traded Grimes for Burks and Boggs?
I don't. One, Grimes has been terrible in Detroit.
He hasn't been healthy either.
And he's been injured. 2, they had to get rid of Fournier before he snapped and killed everybody. And so now you have Boggs, who has the same $19 million expiring contract, so you could still make a trade if you need to. Boggs isn't this bad. He's playing bad right now. He's in a bit of a slump. He's a 20-point per game scorer. He's gonna get better. I don't think he's gonna play like this the rest of the season. I think he's a good player. I'm okay with it.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is he playing, like when he plays on the court, is he playing in a pool of Jello?
I don't know. It's weird.
He seems really real. He seems white boy like me slow.
He does, but he was never
I know
like
he can score. Like the shooting's gonna come back fine, and that'll be great. But The shooting will come back, but like he still seems so slow and just like his handle is terrible. His defense is terrible. It doesn't seem like much of a difference between him and Fournier being here.
I know, but he was averaging 20 points a game, like literally the day before the trade. I
know.
don't think he magically got washed up over the course of 3 days.
I don't understand how he could be this bad. Like Burks is also horrible.
Andrew said Jay could probably walk faster than Boggs running.
I mean, I don't understand.
If you listen to our other podcast, The Brink of Sanity, it's our comedy podcast. There's a running theme on how fast I walk. So that's
Jay can walk 1 mile per minute, according to his clock. He proclaimed that he is an unbelievably fast walker, or
Right.
that I am. Yeah,
that's a bit of an exaggeration, but yes, I am.
he thinks I'm a slow walker. Anyway, so the Knicks. Jalen Brunson has been goddamn unbelievable lately. Is he all NBA?
Yeah, he should be. I actually read that he's moving up on the MVP standings right now, which he should be, because we've seen what this team looks like without him, and it's not pretty.
I don't think you can get the MVP unless you have like top, at least you like top 2 seed. It's really tough to get the MVP if you're not a top 2 seed in the NBA.
Unless you're Embiid and you just whine into it.
Yeah, okay, fair.
I mean, it's also part media hype, popularity. Like Brunson, the way he's playing, he's still kind of under the radar outside of New York. I mean,
is he
that
kind
fair?
of a poor man's Steph Curry? A very poor man's Steph Curry? Not really, but like his stats are like very similar to a Steph Curry season. And I know he's not Steph Curry, and it's a completely different.
Right.
But I just noticed like his stats kind of look like a Steph Curry season.
I wouldn't even say very poor. I mean, he's playing like a top 20 player, if not higher, right now.
No, he's playing at the top. Like I don't think he's first team All NBA, but like second team. I don't see how he's not second team.
Yeah.
And by the way, like the guys that would unseat him, like Tyrese Halliburton, I guess he's injured. Something's wrong with Tyrese Halliburton. His numbers have fallen off a cliff.
Yeah.
Dame, not that great.
Ever since he wore those furry sleeve things, Halliburton's been just garbage. And I blame it on those sleeves. He went too far. He went too far with his runway fits. All right. We took a little break thanks to Optimum. Thank you, Optimum.
Technical difficulties are our favorite thing. Jalen Brunson, second team All NBA. I'm calling it a lock.
A lock. Okay.
A lock. And you know, if my prediction is not correct, the consequences will be insane.
Okay. Before we go any further, I'm just going to give out our info. If you want to email us, nyknickspodcast@gmail.com. We are NYKnicks Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Patreon. When we joined a podcast network, somehow we lost 291 episodes off of our feed. So I am uploading all the episodes to Patreon so that they are at least available. You can join for $1 and get all the old episodes. I have uploaded the first 150, which takes us to the beginning of the 2012-2013 season. So you could listen through Linsanity, through the acquisition of Carmelo. And it's fun going through the old episode descriptions because the 2012-2013, the first one is like, yay, the season's starting. And the very next episode is Amari's out and injured. So I found that pretty funny.
By the way, Jay, on a different note, a different stat, did you know Josh Hart now has gotten to 6th place all time for the Knicks in triple doubles?
Yeah, you got like, one more since last episode, and that bumped him up a few spots?
He is number 5. He's tied. He has 5 triple doubles, which is a lot for a season, especially for a guy who's never done it before in the past. He is Jerry Lucas who did it in 221 games, also has 5. Josh Hart's done it in 92 games as a Knick.
Pretty
I
good.
mean, it's not
Pretty
like
good.
the Russell Westbrook doing it every game for 2 straight seasons, but like for the Knicks, it's a pretty big deal.
Well, I mean, if you just count the last 20 games, he still has 5, so he's doing it every 4 games.
Yes. And if he plays 48 minutes a night going forward, he might get a few more.
Yep.
He's the next on the list. Would be to catch Mark Jackson, who had 7.
Okay.
I think Josh Hart could catch him.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And then and then there's like a huge jump, right?
Walt Frazier has 23. He's number 1.
Yeah. Okay.
But if Josh Hart plays the rest of the season for 48 minutes a night,
That is true. He could
got a
get
shot there. He's got a shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
What else? We are going to wrap up soon, but anything else Knicks related you want to mention about this team being unbelievably awesome?
Well, we didn't do our predictions for the next, so we will have three games before next.
Let's just do the next
episode.
5 games.
Okay. We have
The
at
next 5
Denver,
games.
at Denver, home Brooklyn, home Detroit, at Toronto, at San Antonio.
Okay. And I don't want to point out, by the way, the Brooklyn doesn't matter. It's always a home game. Doesn't matter where the game's played.
That is true. That is true.
Okay. I'm going to say Denver is going to be a loss, and the Knicks should throw that game. Brooklyn is a win. Detroit's a win. Toronto is a win. San Antonio is a win. We also should mention the very sad news. RJ, his brother passed away. Absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
Very sad.
I hate to hear stuff like that.
But he's having a great season in Detroit, in Toronto, and IQs look great there also. So hopefully, whenever he's back on the court, and hopefully they will continue to gel well and look great. In Detroit, Evan Fournier has gotten an opportunity to actually play basketball. He has looked better than Bogdanovich, at least according to the stats. I've seen the box score. Grimes is not playing there, and Malachi Flynn is barely playing also.
Okay. I mean, like I said, this isn't like a, this is the final piece move. This was to get an expiring contract to make another trade. It's a bonus if he plays really well. I
think they were looking for something. They were
looking for some offense, but when the team is fully healthy, he's not going to be playing that many minutes anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, if this team is fully healthy at this point.
Is it possible as an organization to declare bankruptcy and just ask for an expansion team to take your team? Because I feel like that's what Brooklyn should do now. They should ask the NBA, hey, can you guys do an expansion team? We will just leave the NBA. We are that terrible.
Just move to Seattle. Seattle deserves a team.
Yeah, go to Seattle. Seattle doesn't have a team. You guys can have the town. People will be excited. You'll get rid of the stupid Nets name, and you'll be like you'll be Supersonics. Everyone will just forget about the Nets. They'll forget about your. It would be funny though if they went to Seattle, became the Sonics, because then it'd be like Durant leaving Brooklyn gets them back to Seattle.
The Nets died when they came out with that stupid Brooklynite mascot. You remember that?
They died when Durant and Kyrie put like the stake in their hearts. But yeah.
Chum says, is Tibbs getting too much flack for playing players lots of minutes? I mean, I kind of touched on that earlier. I say yes. I think that when the team is healthy, he plays a normal rotation. So I think everyone goes nuts. They're like, oh my God, Josh Hart played 46 minutes tonight with 7 injured guys on the roster. Like, that's what happens when there's a lot of injuries. Look at any other team when there's a lot of injuries. The players that are left are playing a lot of minutes.
No, that's totally fair. If you look at the Golden State game, for instance, Brunson played 35, which is totally reasonable. Devo played 31, very reasonable. Hartman played 25, that's reasonable. It was McBride and Hart's minutes, which were completely batshit insane. I don't know. I mean, it's really, the bench is really, really weak right now. It's Achua and no one else that can be productive. Mitch extends it a little bit. It's tough. Without OG and Randall, the bench looks terrible.
Yeah.
And without Burks and Bogdanovich being I don't. Why doesn't Tibbs just try? I mean, maybe he's seen Shake in practice and he's not impressed, but why not try Shake a little bit?
I don't know. If we're like, we need to unleash Shake, I think things are just worse than we want to admit.
Well, I've seen Alec Burks play, and I'm just saying let's release Shake. I'm not saying Daquan Jeffries or like Jacob Toppin, but it seems pretty reasonable based on how Burks is playing. Unless Shake Milton's entire game plan is to pass the other team, he can't be that much worse.
That is true. Yeah, if Burks is going to play this bad, yeah.
Yeah, and I know he's not a sharp. Milton is not a great 3-point shooter, but like, I don't know. Burks is a terrible 3-point shooter. Apparently, like, there's just
He was
just
shooting
try another
40% in Detroit. I don't understand this fall off at all.
I don't know why they're so. I asked this on Twitter, or X, whatever it's called. Has there ever been a trade that you can remember where it's worked out so poorly for both teams?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Grimes has given Detroit absolutely nothing. He's been injured and given them absolutely nothing. Fournier sucks. Or just not. He's not been very good either. Like, no one involved in that trade has done anything on their new team.
It's weird. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's not wasn't the earth-shattering trade. It's just, I guess the funny thing about it is if you look at the past moves that Leon's made, when he traded for Derrick Rose, people were like, "Oh, it's a good move, whatever." People didn't hype the media at least wasn't like, "This is an amazing move," and it turned out to be a great move for the Knicks. When the Knicks traded for Josh Hart, the media's reaction was like, why are they doing this? Like, I guess not an amazing, and turned out to be a great move for the Knicks. When the Knicks traded for OG, I thought like, well, the media is gonna say this is an amazing trade, and they were like, why the Knicks do this? Like, they gave up too much, terrible trade. Turned out to be a great trade. This is the first trade. Then the media was like, wow, the Knicks hit a home run. They're like, Leon's playing 4D chat. The way the media came out in favor of this trade, I should have known we were fucked.
True. That's a very good point.
Right. If the general consensus from the media is the Knicks made a good move, you're like, okay, well, this is going to go poorly.
So, I guess we're not gonna know for the next couple days. OG status. He's gonna rest
No.
it. We'll see what
By the way,
happens.
I just thought we haven't done in a while. We've done this in the past season. We haven't done a while player power ranking. And it's kind of hard to do it with this team with everyone injured.
Yeah. I used
But
to
it used
do
to be a
that.
staple of our show,
I
and
used to
like
do that
the
every
player
week.
power rankings would be consist of like, well, I'd put OG there, but he doesn't play. I put Randall. It'd just be like a very sad player power ranking, even though like all the guys that are playing have been great.
Yeah.
Like, just be like a.
I should bring that back next season.
Yeah, bring it back next season, or maybe at the end of the season we can do some kind of ranking.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll be able to rank everybody in the actual rotation. That would be nice.
It would be nice if the Knicks. Do you think the Knicks will have everyone healthy in the last game of the season, game 82?
Oh my God, if they do, it's going to be such an awesome playoffs. I'm going to say yes because I can't go through the next month thinking that it's not going to happen. It's going to happen. I'm going to will it to happen.
We are 2 games back at Cleveland. Cleveland is playing. We're not going to catch Milwaukee, but we're 2 games back of Cleveland. It's not insane to catch Cleveland, but I'm more worried about just staying in front of Orlando and Philly than anything else.
Mm-hmm. I mean, with Embiid out, Philly's not that big of a threat.
I don't know. Everyone's out in the Knicks. I don't know if you know that.
True. It's just like Philly's really bad without Embiid.
I know Pacers have fallen off a little bit. The Heat have fallen off a little bit, which is good.
Yeah, Miami's fallen off. I mean, luckily the bottom half of the playoff picture on the East has got pretty sketchy. It's really just Orlando right now that the Knicks have to worry about, which is good.
The Knicks are up 4 games on the Heat. Like, it's not. There aren't that many games to go. You'd think you're probably safe out of the 8th seed, but the 7th seed you're only up by only up 3.5. I don't know. The 9th seed you're not going to fall to 9. There's just no way to fall to 9. You're up by 7 games.
Yeah.
7.5 games. You're good in that one, but
yeah,
nervous,
up 7.5 with 14 left. They would have to lose all 14, I think, to fall.
stop.
Tonight.
Don't even say that out loud. I think the Knicks are going to win. The Knicks, the schedule gets a little easier. They
Yeah.
should win a bunch of winnable games. Yeah, it's just staying in front of. I don't know who I want first round. I just know, like right now, Orlando first round sounds great to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you stay at the 4 seed, you play Orlando first round, or somehow Philly first round. I am totally in favor of that. I don't care if you have to beat Boston in the second round. You're gonna have to play them eventually anyway.
True. All right.
Okay, I think we're done.
If you want to watch us do the show live, youtube.com/@NYKnicksPodcast or twitch.tv/crumpledbacon. Thank you, everybody who joined the show. We also stream
Jay,
on X.
I don't know if you guys know this, but every time Jalen Brunson's name is mentioned, Jay rubs his nipples. You would only know that if you watched the live show.
You guys are missing out. See? All right, so we'll be back next week, hopefully with some good news, some more wins and some good news. Hopefully. I mean, I need this. I need a good playoff run. I just need this.
I seriously cannot wait to see Mitch back on the court. I cannot wait to.
Because we went this whole season saying, what if the Knicks were healthy against Miami? And I really don't want to do that 2 years in a row.
I mean, we got to get to the second round. I mean, I don't want to say where we're like.
I don't care what round. I just want to see a fully healthy team. I want to see what they
A
have.
fully healthy team has to win the first round. If we get fully healthy and we lose in the first round, I'll be livid.
I'll be confused.
Yeah, the team looks too good for that to happen.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, we'll be back. Thanks for joining, everybody, and we'll see you probably Tuesday, right? It's a non-game day? You can't do Tuesdays, right? Yeah. All right.
We'll talk.
We'll try and do one Wednesday before the game, before the Raptors game.
Sure. Let's do that.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. It's all over. Goodbye. It's time to go. This is the end. Say goodbye. You better go away. I'm gonna leave you. It's the end. Goodbye. Goodbye. Just leave me alone. Feels so good to say goodbye. I'm sick and tired and I'm saying goodbye. Goodbye, girl. Goodbye, 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 everybody.
My fantasy team is doing their best impression of the Knicks. It's like
They're all injured.
the day before the playoffs was with a Sengun injury, and then I lost Pirtle. Mark Williams has been out the whole season. The Marketing was out 6 games. He came back for 1, and he's out again.
It's funny when you said my team is doing the best impression. My thoughts were like, wait, that means they're winning? Does that mean they're losing? You mean injuries?
I mean, I made it to. I'm in the second round right now, but with all those injuries, I have Banton, Jackson Davis, Champagne, and Mishik on my team. Not exactly the killer's row of players. So we'll see what happens. It's close right now, but
This is the semis, I assume, right?
this is the semis. I would really like a healthy team, but I'm not going to get it. So we'll see. We'll see what these guys can do.